I am Kaveeta Bahall.
And I am Kezel Jackson.
And welcome to the Live Wire.
And today we have with us Miss Jowelle De Souza, a Hummingbird Medal recipient in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as a well-renowned animal activist. Ms. De Souza, she's also well-renowned in politics as an independent representative.
Yes.
We also know that you went up for the 2015 election. But Ms. De Souza, my question to you is, I see that you're doing a lot of work with the grassroots people. What change do you want to see implemented on the ground?
Well, firstly, I met Sean Sobers, who is, as you know, the UNC candidate.
Yes, he is.
And Sean gave me his holistic way in which he's going to go forward. And I saw Sean more as a real, true independent and not party politic.
Not partisan.
And I liked his methods. He made something very clear to me. He would not just be the MP, but he would bring forward an entire group. So he would lead the cause of being the MP, but he would have a team to work with him. And I thought that his sense of power sharing brought significant difference.
And this is almost unheard of, where there's community interest come in front of personal interest or political interest.
Correct.
And Ms. De Souza, you are bringing a holistic approach to bipartisan politics in Trinidad and Tobago, which is not heard of. Do you think that this is a model that can be implemented in other constituencies?
Well, as you can see, in most constituencies throughout Trinidad and Tobago, we have nearly 6 and 7 independents that are going up. It has reached as far as Tobago. So yes, we have seen it. It is coming, and I believe it will start with 2020 politics here in Trinidad and Tobago. We brought forward a plan, a development plan that it's very similar. It's called the Duty-Free Waterfront. They have it in St. Martin, Turks, in America, where in Las Vegas, where they turn Vegas into that. You know, they have so many lovely theaters, and we have the waterfront. So we're looking at a combination of a duty-free waterfront that you can see 11 ships a day going to St. Martin, and that's bringing in diversification without having to use any major sort of monetary expense. So those are some of the things that we want to see implemented, and we know that will also bring people from Port of Spain to San Fernando. And because remember, we're having a duty-free waterfront. And so that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to come together with Sean Sobers to really turn that lovely piece of land that's known as King's Wharf into the waterfront.
Ms. De Souza, Mr. Sobers is going against Mr. Paris Alvaro.
Right,
yes. At a time like this, when COVID-19 is crippling the world at large, when we are in an economic crisis that have never been seen before, do you think that now representatives and parliamentarians need to rise beyond their ego of partisan politics, especially in this country, and seek national interest? That is, what are we implementing? Because school is about to be reopened, and we are not sure if this would be, because we see COVID cases, it is on the increase again. In light of COVID, in light of homelessness, in light of poverty within the San Fernando environment, I know that you are also a philanthropist. You go out there, we saw you giving hampers, we saw you reaching out to the people, not just in an election campaign, but going and working the ground. Yeah. And this is something admirable, Ms. De Souza, as well as how can government, as well as opposition, whoever that may be, come after election, work together to alleviate some of these economic problems that the real people are having?
Well, first to begin, you have to stop party politics. That is the most important thing. Every time you turn on the television, you hear politicians either or fighting with one another, and they've never put the people first. I always take a step back anytime I think that it's going to be too political. Once you become too political, then you lose the respect that people have for you. And a lot of Trinidad and Tobagonians have lost respect for our politicians because of the fact that they make everything political. If they're giving out a hamper, it must be one on television. It must be all up in the air. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that if you're giving things to people, that you must have it brought to the public forum just for the light. And you've seen where Faris Al-Rawi, being the Attorney General, living in Port of Spain, was actually the wrong person for San Fernando West. We needed someone who understood San Fernando West. Sean Sobers is saying that, give me San Fernando West. I don't need a ministry. What I need is to fix San Fernando West. And that is my point. I've always stood there where I don't see the reason why an MP must be a minister. I don't see the reason why we have so many ministries. There's no need to have everyone be a minister, a junior minister, and a junior minister. You have 15 ministries, you bring them through the Senate, you leave the MPs, especially in the time that you speak about, where we are in a COVID crisis. We're in a COVID crisis. The minister just came off news saying that there are certain countries like ours with the same population, even smaller, 1 million, 1.1 million, 900,000. We are 1.4 million. In those countries, you're looking at, they have 300 and 400 cases. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have 5 cases. There is no need sometimes to make your entire population feel that it's the end of the world. It's certainly not the end of the world. If you've done your history, as I'm sure you had, in 1917, we had the Spanish flu. It lasted a few years. You know, we see it has gone. But the governments of the day have done some good. Yes, I agree to that. The lives of people, we have forgotten. You can't tell someone to go into their house and don't speak to their children and wear a mask. No, you can't. We must live some form of normalcy. The worst of COVID has passed. You would see that in 1917, throughout the years that the Spanish flu lasted, people became adaptable to it, which you see now. There are more cases in America, but people are asymptomatic. It's the same thing here. The cases that we've seen that have been contracted, it's been contracted and they're all asymptomatic. The strain of the virus is not as strong as it was before. But how did it come here? Who are the ones responsible for letting people in? If we did not have a case for almost 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden we have 1 case that spread to 5 cases, then who is responsible for that? Isn't it the Minister of National Security? He must guard our borders better, because obviously they're coming into the country somehow or the other.
Speaking about coming in, Jowelle, you're begging me to ask you another question.
Sure.
With election observers not being able to come to Trinidad and Tobago, CARICOM have advocated for free, fair, and free of fair election.
Correct.
We see what happened in Guyana.
Correct.
Which was just a few months ago. We also saw what happened in St. Kitts.
Correct.
Is it to say that this is not a mandatory prerequisite of democracy to have election observers, be it Commonwealth observers or CARICOM observers present here for this election?
First to begin, the Prime Minister went to CARICOM to ask for observers. It was asked very late, and so because of them asking so very late, I think that is the reason why we are not able to have them. I think it's absolutely necessary that we do have them, because we've, as you just mentioned, look at Guyana. Guyana is in a state of anarchy as we speak. So yes, I do think it's very important. We've always had observers here. I looked at yesterday's polls. I looked at today's polls. When an election is so near, if you look at the poll results from yesterday and you look at the poll results today, they're back to back, yesterday and today. The results are very, very close for both parties. So of course you need observers.
Okay. Our Prime Minister made a comment. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, he said that we are not a banana republic. meaning to say that we are not politically unstable, or our economy is not dependent on one product.
We look at it, of course, if you look at Petrotrin is a fiasco. So when you ask about questioning our political stability, yes, we are not politically stable.
Mr. Souza, I have one question for you. What are some pertinent issues faced right now by the San Fernando West constituents?
No jobs. We have a lack of jobs. If you look at San Fernando, you'd recognize that San Fernando has produced most prime ministers. President. Do you know that George Maxwell Richards and his wife Jean Richards are San Fernandians, you know? Prime Minister Manning, Prime Minister Basdio Pandey, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad-Processor. So besides that, you've had three other prime ministers, two from Tobago and George Chambers, and which was a selected prime minister, not elected. Yet San Fernando has always been neglected. You know, look at San Fernando. So San Fernando had produced the oil, the sugar, the pitch. We have the coconut, which is cocoa, which is one of the most growing things in the world. Coconut, it's being used in everything now. Yet San Fernando is still struggling. If you go the more down Point Fort inside, it's a struggle for these people. They don't have proper lights. They don't have proper bridges, proper roads. They don't have electricity, running water. Imagine in a country at 2020, in a country as wealthy as ours, where people have billions of dollars in their bank accounts, and yet the infrastructure is so weak and ready to fall apart. It's really nice. I wish to see us do more of these segments, you know. People are very interested in other parts of Trinidad and Tobago, so I'm hopeful that we would get these messages more out.